Welcome to Inspiration, where we celebrate successful women in business and the arts. Now, it's the Inspiration Spring Special, and we have a blooming great show ahead. What better way to start the show than a hearty breakfast? We're off to Adelaide to celebrate Plan's International Day of the Girl event. Then some exercises with the pelvic floor queen from Mishfit. We plan our Girls' Night In with Cancer Council Australia. We channel Nina Simone with Ruth Rogers-Wright. We meet filmmaker Rebecca Barry. We go networking with Georgian Bay. And it's off to the L'Oreal Melbourne Fashion Festival. Oh, spring is definitely in the air. Here we are at the first ever United Nations International Day of the Girl. We're at a breakfast event in Adelaide put on by Plan International Australia.
Welcome to the very first International Day of the Girl. The Day of the Girl gives us a powerful way to highlight the particular needs, those special needs and rights of girls, and to advocate for greater action and investment so that girls can reach their full potential.
Suzanne, tell me, why are we here today?
We're here today for the International Day of the Girl. It's the first ever International Day of the Girl. Plan has been lobbying for a number of years, trying to shine a light on the situation of girls in the world over the last number of years in the lead up to the Millennium Development Goals in 2015.
Now I'm going to talk to the current and reigning Young South Australian of the Year, Khadija Blah. Khadija, how did you come to be the Young South Australian of the Year?
For years now, for the past 10 years, I've done a lot of volunteering for different organizations. I do a lot of advocacy as well for minority groups on human rights, women's rights, young girls' rights, and refugee rights. I suppose it's a combination of not just my volunteering advocacy, but the fact that I also do grassroots projects like the Female Genital Mutilation Program, a magazine for African girls called Chocolate Magazine. I do mental health workshop. And I suppose I'm an all-rounder because I just don't specialize in one thing. Anywhere I see an injustice, I am there speaking on behalf of it, advocating and making a change for it somehow.
And so tell me, what's your story?
Well, I came to Australia when I was 13 as a refugee. But before coming to Australia as a child, I saw things that no child should see. I saw people die in front of me. I saw my father being shot in front of me. And I lived in a refugee camp for 3 years. Then I got here and I thought, this is the land of opportunities. It was like coming from hell and coming to heaven. This is not gonna conquer me. I am here and this country has given me a new life. We're here today to celebrate the Day of a Girl Child. I was a girl child like these other girls who lived in poverty, who did not have a future, who was hopeless. Then I came here and I had a better future, a new life. And you know what? I wasn't gonna waste it. I was gonna make the most of it. I was gonna say thank you to the community that has embraced me.
That's an amazing, inspiring story. Do you think that the work that Plan is doing is going to make a change?
The ones who are more vulnerable are my cousins, my female cousins, the little ones. Girls who always be vulnerable. Girls who always be married off to an older man. Girls who always be forced into female circumcisions. Girls who always be raped in war. The situation doesn't change until we, as a community, all come together and say, this is unfair and it has to change. Little girls out there who could be their daughters, who could be their sisters, who are not having such a good time. I think they're doing a great job. And the fact that we have our Governor General behind this, what an inspiring woman that she is. At the end of the day, young girls like me can think, yes, there is a future out there for women.
If 13-year-old Khadija was standing in front of you right now, what would you say to her?
I would say to her, hang in there, kiddo. There is a whole world out there, and we're gonna hop on a train that we can't jump off. But at the end of the day, what you have to realize is where you have come from is what's far. Where you're going, it's not that far enough. And if guns and bullets did not kill me, nothing is gonna kill me.
Here I am with the lovely Natasha Stott-Despoja. Thank you so much for being with us.
A pleasure. It's a great event.
How has your time in politics as a woman been for you?
It was 1995 when I first entered the Senate as the youngest ever woman to do so. I was 26, so I wasn't that young, but it was relatively young given that very few young people generally got into politics. let alone women. I realise now that a lot of those double standards have changed, but not to the extent we'd like to see. You only have to look at federal parliament in the last couple of weeks, and indeed the last 2 years with the advent of the first female Prime Minister, to see that there's still a double standard in Australian politics in terms of how we portray women, the way we expect women to behave and represent us. I think that still women are more likely to be described in terms of their appearance or their marital status. Those things need to change, but they are changing slowly. It was only 14.9% of the parliament was female when I first got in. Now we're just over a quarter. That's not good enough. We still need equal representation in a country that, you know, gave women the right to vote and stand for parliament more than 100 years ago. We're getting there slowly, but I'd like to see a little faster action.
We would describe you as an inspirational woman. How does that make you feel?
I like the idea of being inspirational, and what I love most now is watching many other women who've come in long, after me, and I live a bit vicariously. I get to see them achieving and representing other women, but we've still got an incredibly long way to go in terms of women's rights and opportunities in this country, let alone around the world.
And what is your hope for the future for women in terms of women's rights?
So I want to live in a society where women are paid the same for the same work as men. I want to see an end to violence against women. There are so many things that I want to see change in my region. The fact that women still die in childbirth around the world, but particularly thousands and thousands of women in our own region experience those particular difficulties. I want to see the eradication of preventable diseases that women and children are still dying from. I think that there's so much we can do, but it all starts at home, and it all starts with your community and local activism.
If you were speaking to a group of young girls who are bright and have the whole world before them, what would you say to them?
Explore the opportunities, be brave, be strong, but I always give as a piece of advice, support each other. I'm a great believer in women's networks. Girls and women must support each other. It doesn't mean there's not healthy competition at times, that people won't have different views or perspectives, but work together, support each other. That's what men do, and I want women to do it too.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. It's really great talking to you.
Oh, you're very kind.
Mel Bailey and her beautiful daughter Lucinda.
It's been a fantastic day, and I've been really glad to have my two daughters here as well, to be part of the first International Day of the Girl.
Lucinda, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I might be an author.
How do you think it would be if you were a little girl who was 8 years old who wasn't allowed to go to school? How would that make you feel?
That would make me feel devastated. I discovered today that some girls do not get the opportunities or rights to go to school and get a good job and a good education.
Thank you so much, Lucinda. That were really good answers.
Millions of girls across the world are learning only what they need to survive. Crying won't bring back your parents. Food always comes at a price. Be careful who you trust.
Here I am with Mia Hanshin, member for Women for Girls Adelaide. In a perfect world, what would the situation be for women and girls?
If you want to talk in round numbers, my understanding is that if the world's governments were to invest as little really in global terms as $10 billion in educating girls, then this would see a significant shift in the gender equality stakes. And we know from powerful World Bank research that even when, in a national economy sense, even when you invest in the education of only 1% more girls to go on to secondary education, there is an impact of 0.3% on per capita income growth, of that nation's economy. So, this is not just warm fuzzy stuff. It's not just because, we think it'd be nice for girls to come to, know the rights that we know here in Australia. This is really hard, evidence-based stuff that the World Bank and world leaders are starting to understand, that if we are to break the back of poverty worldwide, this is where we have to start. It's not a magic bullet, but it goes a significant way to impacting on intergenerational poverty. When you invest in a girl, the girl effect takes place. She invests in her family, she invests in her village, in her nation's economy.
Excellent. Yeah, so it's absolutely vital that we all get behind it and make this change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Join the Women for Girls movement.
So let's together put our hands up for girls. Thank you. That was excellent.